Today we're breaking into another box of TSA Confiscated knives. I have got an entire box of Victorinox knives here. I really enjoyed going through the last one, so without further ado, let's see what we got. Oh my. Okay, well, there is a lot of knives in here. I just want to pull that one out and see what it is, but I'm going to control myself. I'm going to get them all sorted, and I'll cut back to that once I see what I have here. Okay, we got everything sorted out, so without further ado, let's see what we got in here. We have 57 classic SDs. Let's see the more noteworthy ones. Get these out onto the table. I believe this is more than we found in the last box, or maybe I'm just not remembering it correctly. Right off the bat, we have one in a sheath, very good shape. It says a name, so we'll put that back. Let's see, red without an inlay. I did it. Okay, I got these all laid out, which took an agonizingly long time, if I might say so myself. I have a whole lot of standard red classic SDs, 3 translucent scaled red. Actually, these two are translucent red. This one is some kind of peach color, I don't know. 5 blues, 4 whites, 3 pinks, 8 greens, 13 blacks, and two blues that didn't go with the other blues. Yeah, 2 more blues. And I saved the notable ones for last. We have some interesting artwork on these ones. I don't know what this is supposed to be, some kind of map thing, but it's in pretty decent shape. We have a translucent pink camouflage classic, and we have this here classic, which has some gears and whatnot. Something I found notable is that the handle to get the tweezers out of the scale is red instead of gray. So that's kind of interesting. And I found this here one, which I find very intriguing. I might have to do a little digging on this one. I don't know if it's anything special, but it has the Victorinox cross all over it. It does not have the standard inlay. It has a bunch of crosses. So that's kind of interesting. And we have this here, I don't know what you'd call this, Bambi. It's a Bambi knife, I guess. This one is very interesting. It has like an old style coupe car. You know, I'd love to know the story behind these knives. It's very diverse. People got them for a reason or at a specific place. And, you know, just having them from the TSA doesn't really do them justice. Anyway, that is it for the classic SDs. All 57 of them. Some of them are in very good shape, some not so much. Particularly the white ones. I would never buy a white one because they look disgusting. Now, I think I might have to get these out of the way to continue with everything else, otherwise nothing's going to fit anywhere. Okay, got those all bagged up. I'm going to leave them in the bags. Moving on, we have the Irregular Classics. You gotta open the bag first, dummy. Okay, the Regular Classics. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white ones, or red ones. I was going to do the white ones first, and then I realized it didn't make sense. It's a whole thing. Okay. 5 red ones, one of them, in fact, missing the inlay. The difference, of course, between the Classic and the SD is so hilariously small. The difference between the SD and the regular old Classic is, well, you might have guessed it, screwdriver, which, ironically, hilariously, I learned that this morning. I didn't realize what SD stood for, I know. Anyway, the nail files, the only difference. A little screwdriver tip and nail cleaning tip thing, which is fairly disgusting, but, you know. We have 3 white ones, however only one is the standard white Victorinox Classic. This is a regular white, which is nothing remarkable. However, these 2 are twins, but they're not. One is purple floral and the other one is red floral, and I kind of think that these might be some kind of special edition thing, since I don't know why there'd be more than one color. Also, there is no inlay, there is just a cross on there, which is interesting because it kind of looks like the Wenger cross instead of the Victorinox cross. But the blade is stamped Victorinox. So those are kind of interesting. Floral pattern, very good shape. Wonder, they probably got, maybe they got confiscated from the same person. Moving on from that, we have a Rally. The Rally, of course, is a lot like the Classic, except instead of a pair of scissors, it has this little funky doodad here. This is a bottle opener Phillips head screwdriver combo tool. So we have one Victorinox Rally, followed up by the Escort. The Escort being a true single layer knife, having only a knife and a nail file. It is missing the scissors. Also, the nail file is on the rear of this knife. 3 of those, one of which is missing an inlay. Okay, what else we got for tiny little baby knives? We've got 2 caddies, which off the top of my head, I actually can't remember what's so special about them. Well, let's see. This is like the mini golfer. That's what it is. It has a tiny little divot tool, blade, and a pair of scissors. So this is just a Classic without the nail file. 2 of those caddies. We have a Victorinox Scribe. The Scribe is just an Escort with a pen. It does not have the scissors like the Classic. It has the same nail file as the SD though. That is interesting. So blade, pen, nail file. Pen does in fact come out. Some of them are stuck pretty good. So yeah, that was the Scribe. Okay, moving on to the signatures. I have 3 different versions. I have a regular old signature, I have a signature light, and a signature laser. We have a Victorinox signature, which has the scissors, knife, and the nail file, same as the SDs. However, the signature has a pen. Now I have a signature light. The signature light has a light. This, however, does not work, needs new batteries, which are in the scales. And last but not least, we have a signature laser, which is the same thing, except it has a red light. I really don't know what that's for, so if anybody knows more than I, which isn't a very uncommon occurrence, educate me in the comments, please, because I'm clueless. Here we have the 58mm, the Manager, and the Midnight Manager. A blade, scissors, and a nail file, but it also has a pen. This one looks like it might have exploded. And the Midnight Manager is meant for midnight. Well, has a red light. This is apparently an older model Midnight Manager because it has a red light. They later made them into regular white light. So we have a Manager and a Midnight Manager with the red light. Now let's move on to this here prize. I bet you folks haven't seen anything quite like this before. Here we have a Victorinox flash drive, except there's no flash drive. So I've kind of got a really, really fat Classic with a big hole in it. We have a Vagabond. I'll just say it fast. This particular model has 2 different style blades. It has the regular blade and the what they call emergency blade, which makes not much sense to me, however. And it has this little guy here, which is a cut and picker blade, Escort thing, and the scissors. This one, however, is out of season. This is a Merry Christmas knife. It is not Christmas. Here we have another 58mm. This is a 5-layer mini champ. The mini champ pretty much has it all, as you would have guessed, being a 5-layer 58mm. The mini champ has scissors. It has this here multi-tool thing like on the Rally with the Phillips and the bottle opener. Has the regular blade, and on the other side it has the nail file. It has the, they call this a cuticle blade. We have a ruler screwdriver combo and the emergency blade, just in case your regular blade snaps off, I guess. That is the mini champ. Basically, it has all of these ones. It has all the tools of these ones in one. That's what makes it a 5-layer knife. Okay, I think we might be done with the 58mm. Now we've got the 2-layer 65mm Wengers. These are Wenger Esquires. The Wenger Esquire is just the Wenger version, slightly larger than the Victorinox Classic with the scissors, nail file, and blade. However, the Wengers do have different style scale tools. We have one red one, we have one translucent green. Scale tools are still there. Wengers tend to hold on to their scale tools a little better, simply because to get at them, it's inside the scales rather than on the outer edge of the scales. Here we have an Eddie Bauer edition. Interesting, because I found an Eddie Bauer edition classic somewhere over in those bags. Next up, we have a 65mm Wenger Crusader. This is a single layer version of the Wenger Esquire with just the nail file and the blade on the opposite side. Scale tools are still there. Next, I will start with the 84mm one layer Sentry. This particular Sentry is the Boy Scouts edition. The blade is pretty well stuck, so this might just be a showpiece. I'm pretty sure you could fix it. A little bit of cleaning probably. However, I can't get it out. So what you see is what you get with that one. The 84mm Sentry. Okay, I skipped a step. If we're going from smallest to largest, I found a 74mm Executive. The Executive has the scissors and has a small blade, a large blade. Scale tools are in fact still here. Here we have a 84mm Tourist. The Tourist is the same design as the Tinker Small, same size being 84mm and being a 2-layer. The only difference is that the Tourist has a corkscrew instead of the Phillips screwdriver. This particular Tourist has the old cross and no scale tools, so I'm inclined to believe that this one has some age to it. Next up we have the Waiter, which is the 84mm one layer knife. I actually have a sweet spot in my heart for one layer knives. They just get kind of bulky, you know. This has the corkscrew, the knife, and the bottle opener. Scale tools. We have the 84mm Sportsman. The Sportsman is a 2-layer knife. The Sportsman is a lot like the Tourist, except it has a nail file instead of a small blade. Moving on, we've got an infamous Tinker Small. Funny, that's exactly what I said last time I opened one of these. The Tinker Small is just like the Tourist, except it has a corkscrew. Everybody likes a Tinker Small. We have a brand new in the box, or plastic, whatever you want to call this thing, Sportsman. This must be a relatively modern knife because it has the nylon scales. Cannot argue with getting a brand new knife. I wonder how you get a brand new knife confiscated. It's interesting. Some guy was not happy, or maybe it wasn't a guy, you never know. Here we have a Wenger Viking, 2-layer 85mm Wenger Viking. We have a Wenger Evo S10. And I kind of like this knife because I do like the locking mechanism being this little button right here. That is kind of cool. Need to get the Wengers together. That would be a good idea. Wengers can go over here. A Wenger Evo S-111. This is a 2-layer knife which looks mighty flashy from this side. However, it is missing the scale on this side. The primary difference being the corkscrew versus the Phillips. This knife is completely locked up. It's kind of funny because it doesn't look like it's in that bad a shape, just the small blade kind of moves. I'm just going to leave that alone. The Wenger Cascade. This is a 3-layer 85mm, which also has that fancy dancy, ooh, it's an Eddie Bauer edition. It has that fancy dancy blade locking system, just like the two Evos I just pulled out. This has a small blade, a big blade, a wood saw, it appears. A wood saw, a bottle opener, and the 3-in-1 tool, corkscrew, and reamer. Here we have an 85mm Wenger Evo 518. This is a 4-layer knife. This one is in very good shape. Has the Phillips head screwdriver. Everything opens nice and easy. Can't argue with that. Next in my box of goodies, I have an 84mm 2-layer Recruit. Very similar to the Tinker Small and the Tourist, exception being it has no back tools. It does have the scale tools, however. Now we're getting into the 91 millimeters. Let's go ahead and start with the Spartans, being one of the more common 91 millimeter. Here we have a translucent blue scaled Spartan, a very fancy, very shiny red one, and another red one, and another red one, and a red one. The red one with some nasty goopy looking stuff on it. We have a very nice looking red one. This Spartan is the 100-year anniversary edition of the officer's knife. It's kind of a shame, actually, very much a shame. This is a very collectible knife, and somebody bent the tip, wore the blade etching off, and just decided to carry it. I mean, I guess it's a knife, it's meant to be carried, but I think I probably would have kept this one in the box, if you know what I mean. Here we have a Spartan in the package with the user manual. We got Hateber. This knife is in pristine condition, never been sharpened, very nice. I wonder who was carrying this around. It must have been in their bag or something. I don't know. How do you lose a knife in the box? Same way you lose a knife in the clamshell thing. Here we have the Serrated Spartan, otherwise known as the Weekender. Very similar to the Spartans, except it has a serrated blade. Okay, let's get into the 3-layer 91 millimeter knives. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 campers. The camper is very similar to the climbers, with the exception this one has a wood saw and not a pair of scissors. We have some older ones with the camping inlay on them. Looks like we're missing some scale tools. We've got a broken scale right here, and this one is desecrated with nail polish. Moving on to the climbers. I lost the best one in the box. We have 3 91 millimeter climbers. 3-layer knives. This one here, somebody liked this one a lot. It is still in the sheath. This one is nylon scales. This, of course, being the same as the camper. This one has scissors instead of the wood saw. Let's check this one out in the sheath, shall we? Hardly even scuffed. It does have a bent corkscrew, however, but that's not the end of the world. Scale tools are intact. Very nice. Let's put it back in there. Okay, next we have the Golfer. I don't know if you remember in my last video, I found a Golfer Special, which was interesting because that was a 1-layer knife. This is a 2-layer knife. The difference being my Golfer did not have the scissors. This one has some nasty, crusty, and of course the divot tool. See, I'm learning. We have the Hiker. The Hiker is a 3-layer, 91 millimeter, has the Phillips on the back and the wood saw on the front. The Hiker, very similar to the camper. The camper, of course, has the corkscrew. Now we've got into the Tinkers, the 91 millimeter Tinkers. Tinkers, of course, having the Phillips screwdriver on the back. The Tinkers are the same as the Tinker Small as far as tools go. They are just a little bigger at 91 millimeters. Here we have a 91 millimeter 4-layer Fieldmaster. The Fieldmaster with the Phillips screwdriver, the scissors, the wood saw. This must be a fairly new model. It has the hook on the back. Moving on, we have got the Explorer. The Explorer being sort of similar to the Fieldmaster, except the Phillips is on the front also with a magnifying glass, which allows them to have the corkscrew on the back. Here we have got the Huntsman. Always seem to get a few of those. We have an interesting little lot here, a little bit of diversity. We've got a 2, 3 standard red Huntsmans. We have a Huntsman with nylon scales. We have camouflage scales, actually in pretty good shape. And we have the wood scales. I like myself some wood scales. However, they kind of remind me of the tourist knives, which kind of, you know, they come with a little bias, but they're nice. Now, the real question is, what is inside of the sheath? Ooh, whoa, no. You know, if you're going to put your name on your knife, please don't lose it to the TSA. Makes them kind of hard to sell or use, because people start asking questions about, you know, who that is. It's not me. People think I stole it or something, which I guess the TSA already did. So I'm in the clear. So we have a very fancy shiny red one In a very nice sheath, actually. I'll give them that. Someday we'll get to the bottom of this box. Here we have the Altimeter. 4-layer. The Altimeter is very, very similar to the Huntsman, being the only difference having the digital clock in the scales. Also translucent. It has a button here, and I'm not sure what it's supposed to do, but there's no light on the end. So there's that. Moving up, we've got the Grand Prix. The 91mm 4-layer Grand Prix has the Phillips on the back, the scissors, and the metal saw. So basically being the Huntsman, but with a metal saw and a Phillips screwdriver, and the little Model A Ford inlay in the front. Next, we're getting into the big ones. We've got the 91mm Outdoorsman Original. The Outdoorsman Original has a serrated blade and a small pruning blade. So just a little small blade with a hook on the end. Nikon. I might add something to the value, I'm not sure. Next up, we have the 91mm Ranger. This is a fairly old Ranger covered in what looks like things you don't want to inhale. It's a fairly old Ranger. It is missing the hook, and it has a corkscrew. It has the fluted corkscrew at that. So this is a fairly aged knife. Moving on, we have got the Swiss Champ. As many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the Swiss Champ. It has all of the gadgets. The Swiss Champ is an 8-layer tool with the corkscrew on the back, the little watch screwdriver, which somehow got all the way down there. It also has the hook and the front-facing Phillips pliers, metal saw, wood saw, fish scaler, and scissors, and of course the other standard stuff. So that is always kind of cool. This one is in black, kind of beat up. I think we only have one knife left to go, and this is the single-layer 100mm Gardner. Like I said earlier, I have it in my heart for single-layered knives. The Gardner has a sheep's foot blade, they call it. It is not quite as long and a little more stout. Not really sure what the logic was behind putting this into a 100mm body, because the blade does not reach the end. But anyway, that is the Gardner. So that is it for this here box. I have another box on the way, so if you're interested in that, go ahead and check that out when that gets released. Thanks for watching.